America had a birthday, and I'm back. The breakdown starts now. Welcome to the breakdown. I'm Tara Setmayer. This is the Rick Wilson. We are back after a lovely 4th of July break for me. At least, I don't know. Did you have a nice break over the 4th, Wilson? I hope so.
All good, all quiet. No great dramas or celebrations one way or the other.
Well, I mean, I've mentioned this before, that the 4th of July is a huge deal in my family because my grandfather marched in every single 4th of July parade in my hometown of Paramus. Yeah, from 1947 until he passed away in 2016, only a few days after. And, we didn't go this year, but there's always a Setmayer represented. My mom and my stepdad were there in Paramus representing again. We were back in Washington. As some know, I'm a little tan because I was down the shore in Jersey over the break, and then we came back for the fireworks. And given my husband's position, we usually get a very nice location to watch the fireworks, and it was lovely here in Washington, perfect weather. And so
excellent.
I mean, I posted some things, so if people want to check out where we were, they can go to my Instagram and look at it. But hope everybody had a wonderful 4th. Unfortunately, we had a tragedy yesterday. Yep. It was both the good, the bad, and the ugly, I guess. On July 4th, we had another mass shooting. And I just want to say that I'm praying for the families of Highland Park in Illinois. I can't even imagine what that chaos was like. And like I said, those parades are near and dear to my heart. So it was that this one hit me a little differently as well.
Sure.
Kind of like the school shooting. It's like, is there nowhere safe anymore? And the disturbing part about this, Rick, and I have to say, is that once again, a 22-year-old, this kid was a loner. The signs were there. You had his parents saying, well,
Yep.
He seemed normal. He was normal the day before. Have you seen pictures of this guy?
Let me tell you something.
There's nothing normal about this kid. I'm tired of these people saying this.
This transcends the debate over gun control itself.
Yes.
There is a profile of who does this. They are white boys. They are under the age of 22. I mean, I'm speaking in the broadest strokes, but these are the averages.
Right.
In almost every goddamn case, their social media is full of a million different flags. Now, I could search the word microwave on Google, and I'll get deluged with microwave ads for a billion fucking years.
Right.
And these guys are out shooting, Googling things like mass shooting techniques, how to survive being a shooter, how to kill yourself in a public, I mean, all this profiling that the social media platforms do of all of us for advertising purposes. Why don't you guys turn your giant, all-seeing, omnipotent panopticon to profile these fucking incel creeps who are out there who are going to do harm to themselves and others. Call me crazy. This seems like a pretty 101 style thing.
You would think, and I mean, I'm not a big government person,
no.
As you know, neither are you. And no one's saying that we want, big bro government watching everything we do. But guess what? They fucking do it anyway. Okay.
Right.
We live in a surveillance culture. There is no putting that genie back in the bottle. So if they're going to do it, then at least do it for some good, because so many of these tragedies seem preventable. I remember, Rick, as do you. After 9/11, what was the slogan? See something, say something.
Say something.
Right?
Right.
See something, say something. Well, that applies now no longer to to international terrorism. Okay. These foreign terrorists. It applies to domestic terrorism today. If you see something, say something. The same thing with the Parkland shooter. Just keep going down the list. A lot of these guys that are doing this, the signs were there, and their families, I think, are in denial. And I think that's oftentimes because it's very difficult for parents and for people who raise these people to admit that there's something wrong with them, because they're an extension of them. And instead, they bury their heads in the sand. And next thing you know, these kids become school shooters or they're mass shooters. And the signs were there. So we've got a big problem in this country. From
Yeah,
mental health on down to parenting to everything. I don't know what we're going to do, but it's
this profile. It requires a lot of diligence across the board, and it does require families to say, maybe if little Kevin is spending 40 hours a week, watching porn, and the rest playing video games and
by himself with no friends,
lurking on 8chan, maybe there's something there. Maybe if we see social media pictures of them like doing talking about their gun collection, how they're going to go to a school and shoot people, maybe you ought to do something about that.
I just want to say one last thing before we move on about this. One of our coworkers mentioned that their daughters went on a play date with a friend in their neighborhood, and that the kid was 5 and said he was going to murder them. And they mentioned something to the parents who completely ignored it. Oh, he's just, he must have watched a couple movies or whatever. They dismissed it. The kid was 5. And now, obviously, they never had a play date again. And now the kid is like in third or fourth grade and is a problem. And guess what the parents are doing? They're complaining to the school because the school has to discipline this kid. And it's the school's fault, which is another thing. There's no responsibility, and poor educators who see the signs, who deal with these kids every day, they're getting pushback from these parents. And somehow there's been a dynamic.
Yeah, Johnny the special snowflake. And when the parents are like, "Oh, you're the ones who are too hard on them," there is a level of personal responsibility. That's the other thing about almost every one of these cases. Yes. No matter how old they are, they're still living with mom and dad.
Yes, and I don't know. It's a societal problem. And something else about this shooter, he was wrapped in a Trump flag. He's attended plenty of Trump rallies.
Yes, he has.
And I'm sorry, you can't tell me that Trumpism and Donald Trump and the constant indoctrination of all of that, what goes along with that, and the glorification of violence and all that isn't playing a role. There seems
you can't tell me that the idolization of Eric Greitens and the cheering, like, I'm going to take out the rhinos with his SWAT team cosplay bullshit, and the adulation over the McCluskeys in St. Louis and these other cases doesn't have a role in this. Because look, part of Trumpism is this unspoken and spoken threat of violence against those who oppose Trumpism.
Correct.
And it gives people permission to believe that they are exceptional and free to do what they wish, as long as they're fighting communists or Antifa or Soros or BLM or whatever the fuck is in their goddamn low grade fever brain dreams. But look, I'm not saying that Donald Trump caused this kid to kill these people.
Right.
But I am saying there's an increasingly prevalent culture on the right that is okay having people who are either engaged in violence, threatening violence, or seeking to intimidate others. I mean, we saw the Patriot Front marching this week in Boston. How dare you fuckers? How dare you besmirch one of the places where this republic was born by marching your low rent Target fucking stretch polo shirt and face mask bullshit up that street on the Freedom Trail? How dare you?
Mm-hmm. And they're emboldened. They're emboldened.
They do. They're emboldened.
I want to be clear about this, Rick. Nothing about this is celebrating freedom or democracy. This is neo-fascist bullshit. And that plays into the larger theme that we have been sounding the alarm about for years now, unfortunately. But it's getting louder and louder because now they are even more emboldened to take action. Before, they just unearthed themselves and they reared their little wee heads. But now they're actually taking action. And the Republican Party and Trump and these folks, they're silent on this. Where are they? Sure. Not only are they silent, like the McCarthys and all those people, they're silent because they're too chicken shit to stand up to it. But Donald Trump and that wing, they are encouraging it. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert and Matt Gaetz and all the other cacophony of kooks, they're encouraging it. And we're seeing this play out not only now in these tragedies, but we're seeing this in the attacks on threats against Representative Adam Kinzinger, for example, or anyone who stands up against Trumpism and calls out the lies. I mean, what's happening to Adam Kinzinger and others is disgraceful. Disgraceful, the level of threats and the detail that we're seeing. This is not okay in any.
You know, I listened to the clip that Congressman Kinzinger released today of people calling his office and threatening his family, his staff, him, in the most vile and repulsive ways you can imagine. And I felt for the guy at a level because, and look, I don't care. You fuckers can call me and leave whatever messages you want. I don't listen to my voicemail, first off, and then I laugh at you, second off. But during the 2016 and 17 and 18 and 19 and 20, they also did this to my kids.
Yeah.
Called my kids and you know, sought to intimidate and sought to threaten me by threatening and trying to intimidate them. And I heard that same tone, the same shit talking, you know, in the tape he released today that I've heard 200 times more over the last 5 years, 7 years now. Jesus, I'm old.
Can you believe it's been going on this long, Rick? I'm right there with you.
But you know, you were from the start. But Tara, what I was listening to today, it reminded me that Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, and the very proper gentlemen at National Review, and the rest of the gentry conservatives in DC, and the guys that, as Tim Miller says, you know, are the ones that just say they're in the game playing it. They're okay with those people. Yeah. Those people are part of their coalition. They want them there. Apparently. They will never go out and say, this has no place in America. Kevin McCarthy, you chicken shit pussy, you low life, limp dick little shitbird. You should go out today and say these threats against Congressman Kinzinger and his family and his staff are absolutely unacceptable. And no one who makes those sort of threats should be in the Republican Party. Don't vote for us if you want to act that way. But you know what? He won't do it. He'll issue at best some anodyne statement like, the left has been very mean and they've been very mean. So therefore people are upset because the left is mean to them.
Yeah. What about Antifa? What about the Black Lives
Matter? What about BLM? Blah.
What about the baseball shooting when it was a Bernie Sanders guy that shot up the baseball field with Steve Scalise? All of that is terrible.
Of course.
So it shouldn't have to be a whataboutism. They hide behind whataboutism because they're too cowardly to stand up to, like you just said. Because if they had said enough, we're not going to do this shit years ago, we wouldn't be here now. We wouldn't be here now.
That's exactly right. And folks, do you think you may have noticed I hold Kevin McCarthy in fairly low regard. It is because not only will he not defend members of his caucus who are under threat from these people, but it's also because Kevin McCarthy goes out into private fundraising meetings. We know of at least 3 where we've talked to people who were in the room at Kevin McCarthy's major donor fundraisers this year, where he says to them, you've got to help me elect moderate Republicans so we can get rid of these Trumpers. They're so dangerous. They're awful. Help me, and I can put moderate Republican. It's a lie. It's a lie. Kevin is a lying liar who lies. So anyway.
I can't believe that people still buy into it.
Buy that shit?
How do they still buy into this? I mean, at least Mitch McConnell can point to some wins and some value. Like, say what you want about him, but he knows what he's doing in the Senate. What does Kevin McCarthy have to point to? He's got nothing, but he's had his balls cut off multiple times throughout all of this and been embarrassed. Well, and Donald Trump is not going to support him to be speaker. I already told you this.
Of course not.
I mean, we already know that he's indicated this more than once. So I don't know why anyone would still believe that Kevin McCarthy has any power whatsoever or any influence if
authority.
They did support, or none of it. None of it. He's never demonstrated command of the situation ever. So I don't know what they think is going to happen here. So anyway, but moving on, since last week, there's been some more fallout from the January 6th hearing and Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony, which I'm still in awe over all of it. And my God, I got to say this, I know that I've been trying to be positive and optimistic about what DOJ is doing, but I don't know if you saw these reports, Rick, but the DOJ was caught off guard by Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony. This is a shock. What the fuck have they been doing? I don't understand this. My good friend Ellie Honig, who is a legal analyst over at CNN, he was a former Southern District of New York prosecutor. He prosecuted like bad guys and mobsters stuff. Ellie's a cool guy. Get his book about Bill Barr. Anyway, he was talking today because he's filling in on XM radio for Dan Abrams. He was talking about the same thing, like, DOJ, come on, guys, what are you doing here? How is it that they're so behind the curve here? And I'm not happy about that. There are others who still think that DOJ is quietly doing their job, but I'm concerned because of timing. How are they going to do this and not seem political? They have that unwritten rule about that, 60 days or 90 days before an election, they don't want to indict anyone. Like, what is happening? I'm not happy about this. Merrick Garland, come on.
Yeah, they've got to show some leg here, guys. If they're gonna bring cases, they better get to it, because it's not enough for Georgia to bring a case. The federal government has to bring a case. And I say this, and I've said this 100 times, and I have had many smart lawyer friends who tell me, DOJ moves methodically, but inevitably they're going to take it. They're going to do it. I have just been to this rodeo now too many times where I've seen everyone rely on some institution of government to save us, and it doesn't happen.
Right. And the thing about it is, like, I don't envy Merrick Garland because the poor guy is in an unwinnable situation. He's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't. This is unprecedented. We are literally in unprecedented waters here, or uncharted waters, mixing my metaphors, because we've never had a president possibly be indicted. We've never had a former president decide that they want to run again and possibly be under indictment, because we all have heard the rumors now in the last week, ever since Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony.
They're coming faster and faster too, by the way.
Right. That Trump is now thinking about moving up his announcement to run so it can inoculate him in his mind from being prosecuted. And it might work.
I don't think he's wrong, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. It might work because they're afraid to do this.
I don't think Trump is wrong in the belief that the minute he declares as a candidate,
right, that's
three things happen. One, the Department of Justice says, oh God, he's a stated announced presidential candidate with a credible chance to win. He's not some lunatic who's just it's not vermin supreme.
Well, he kind of is, but
well, yeah, well, actually, he's vermin, but not supreme. But the minute he declares, they pop the brakes and go, whoa, we can't be seen as political.
Which is, and just to be clear, folks.
Which, by the way, not doing it is political.
Exactly.
Not doing it is also a political decision.
And it's not codified anywhere. It's not in a law. It's not a statute. It's not in the Constitution. This is a guidance.
It's a guideline, guys.
Decision that the DOJ has made. And all of this is a fallout from Watergate. And I'm sorry, but we have blown way past Watergate, as you and I discussed with Harry Litman last week. They need to stop that being the standard here. We are in unprecedented times, and they need to drop the hammer. Enough is enough is enough.
Right. It's a guideline, folks.
It's a fucking guideline.
Don't eat roller meat at 7-Eleven at 4 a.m. It's a guideline. There's no law about it, but you just don't do it. Don't masturbate on an airplane. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. There's no law against it. Well, there might be.
There is. But don't eat like gas station sushi.
Thanks, Bin Laden.
Bad idea. Jeez, Rick. Oh my God. I think it was illegal before that, by the way. Private jets, I don't know. That's a different story. But commercial airlines, I think it's illegal. No, but I'm just saying, DOJ, come on, man. They've got it. I don't know. I'm starting to get a little exasperated by all of it. However, what I'm not exasperated by is news coming out of Georgia, which we just heard earlier today, that some subpoenas, there's some movement there. That is the Fannie Willis case down there with the fake electors and the whole, pressuring the Georgia government, just find me some votes. That's moving along. 7 people were subpoenaed today, including some names we all know.
Rodolfo.
Yes, your old buddy and boss Rudy, Giuliani. We've got John Eastman. Have Cleta Mitchell, who used to be a respectable lawyer, election lawyer, who turned into another one of those election deniers. She's in trouble. Well, subpoenaed. Senator Lindsey Graham, Lady Lindsey, has been subpoenaed as well.
The Miss Pitty Pat of the Senate.
Yes,
I
remember
declare.
he's horrified. He's flushed.
I know nothing about these subpoenas.
Where's my fainting couch, right?
I'm swooning, Colonel. Bring my special couch.
Oh my gosh. And 2 Trump lawyers who were part of this effort, who were pressuring these Georgia officials, they've all been subpoenaed.
Jenna Ellis, right? She's on the list.
She's on there too, right? There's 7 of them.
God, she's egregious.
God, she's horrible. One of my friends, who was one of my closest friends, who's like a sister, who we are now estranged because of all of this. She's a Trumper. She's like best buddies with Jenna Ellis and that whole crew. And I'm just horrified by all of it. I'm like, you know what? You all deserve each other. But anyway, right. So these people, 7 of them, subpoenaed. This is I don't think they can ignore them. Let's remember, like DOJ, and when you start getting into criminal subpoenas, this ain't Congress. You can't just be like, right. F you, I'm not showing up. There's real consequences, and they have real power here.
They'll send the GBI after you, and correct. They will drag your fool ass. Now, the downside is, apparently, those people they're going to try to delay these. They're going to try to procedurally delay this as long as they can.
Of course, because that's what they do. But there's more they have more enforcement mechanisms than Congress does. So that's a little bit a more precarious path, I would say, for these folks to try to do that. But they can also get search warrants. They can execute those search warrants like they did to John Eastman when they just showed up in New Mexico and snatched his phone from him when he left a restaurant. This is the kind of stuff that actual criminal subpoenas can these folks can do. So we'll see what happens with this, but there's movement, which is good. I'm encouraged.
I just got a signal message from someone in the far right ecosphere who said Bannon is having a very bad day. Doesn't look good for him legally. Oopsie. Oh. I don't know the whole thing yet, but I'll find out, because anytime Steve Bannon is miserable, I am happier.
Yes, indeed. There are more rainbows and unicorns are born happy when Steve Bannon is having a bad day. Well, look, we are every time Steve Bannon, faces some sort of legal setback, an angel gets its wings. That's right. We like to hear bad things are happening to Steve Bannon.
I do. I truly treasure Steve Bannon's future incarcerated status.
Shit. He's a piece of shit, self-avowed Leninist who's an evil genius behind a lot of riling this up. And he's another one that needs to see the inside of a fucking jail cell. And I'm tired of these guys emboldened walking around, continuing to incite. Millions of people listen to his War Room podcast. Next hearing, January 6th, is supposed to be July 12th, I believe. And that's next Tuesday. So, of course, we'll be covering it live when it happens. And I think they're now going to move on to these extremist groups, and Jamie Raskin is going to lead that, which I look forward to, because it's about time now that we also see who these fuckers are, what they're doing, and their proximity to Trump world.
I want to see all these Oath Keeper, Proud Boys, Patriot Front, all these idiots. I want to see them under the lights. And look, I will say that DOJ does seem to be moving through that sort of scum catalog with some dispatch. Yes. So,
well, that's good. I think that as we continue to see this and it looks worse and worse for Trump. I mean, last week was a really bad week for Donald Trump and his prospects, I think, because it's giving a permission structure now to the other Republicans. You call them the gentry Republicans, to look elsewhere. And we already know who the beneficiary of that is directly.
Sure.
That's Ron DeSantis.
It's had DeSantis.
Yes. And we see what he's doing down in Florida. And, Democrats, I think, are underestimating this, thinking that, DeSantis is going to be like a traditional Republican. DeSantis is not going to turn into Jeb Bush all of a sudden. Okay.
No.
Never. He's not going to. He is acting like a horrible person. He's a smarter version of Trump. And that should scare the shit out of everyone. If you look at what he's doing in Florida, do not underestimate this guy.
Right.
I don't think they're learning all the wrong lessons here.
Listen, I have told Democrats this, who are very sanguine about their chances of beating Ron DeSantis, do not have a failure of imagination like you did in 2015 and 16. And I will tell you, I've written about this before. You know this yourself, Tara. There were a lot of Democratic political consultants, strategists, pollsters, media people who said, yes, we'll help pick Trump as the Republican nominee because Hillary will easily defeat him.
Yep.
Y'all, Ron DeSantis is more popular in this country than you think. And what he represents is more powerful than you think. He's on the side of the culture war where a majority of the electoral college votes in the country will fall. You may not like the electoral college, but you're going to have to deal with it because it's real. Okay.
Yes. And he's not, let's not, back to your point about McCarthy begging people to trust him and that we need more moderates elected. They're thinking that's DeSantis and, the sweater vest brigade, because now you have Glenn Youngkin talking about rumors that he might try to mount a bid. And so you're going to have all these guys again, like they did in 2016, running against each other, splitting the freaking primary vote. And that opens up a pathway to Trump again. None of these scenarios are good. And there aren't that many moderates out there who have a shot in hell of winning. We see what's going on. Did you see the debates last week? I don't know if you talked about it Thursday or not. The debate in Wyoming.
We touched on it. But Wyoming and Arizona,
these people are
holy mackerel. These people are. First off, these are some not ready for prime time some bitches. Okay, no. I mean that one woman she was not just out of her depth. She was at the bottom of the Marianas Trench. You
have to be more specific.
Right. I can't even remember her name now. Wyoming, white dress.
That was Harriet Hagman. Is that her? Was it?
No. Harriet Hagman is the slicky one that's being produced by McCarthy's people.
Yeah, but she's still citing 2,000 Mules.
Oh yeah, she's completely bonkers too. But yeah.
Well,
anyway,
between her and then, that Carrie Lake out there in Arizona for the governor's race. I mean, these people are QAnon sympathizers.
Lunatics.
They're lunatics. And, you've got the QAnon guy out there, Ron, whatever his name, Watkins, running for Congress. Like there's more and more of these people winning Republican primaries. So pay attention, folks. Pay attention. These people are the ones that are winning. So this is a problem. You've got to beat that.
It's real.
Back. It's real. To beat that back. And Liz Cheney, I just want to say this. You might have touched on this too. Gave a hell of a speech at the Reagan Library last week.
I did. I talked about it last week on the show, and
you guys got to go and watch that.
And whether you are a liberal or a conservative, whether you are a Democrat or a true Republican, go watch that speech because it's what courage looks like when you don't give a shit about keeping your seat.
Yes.
When you just say, "I'm going to do the right thing. I don't care what it costs me. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to be strong. I'm not going to mess this up. I'm going to do the right thing for my state and my country." And that's what it looks like.
Yes.
You don't have to agree with her on every political point or ideological point, but you do have to acknowledge that this country is filled with cowards. And I'm going to say this very directly. Cowards on the right who won't stand up to Trumpism, and cowards on the left who won't stand up to the progressive wing of their party that's going to lose them elections in key moderate districts and states.
Amen to that. We've been saying this. We've been saying this for a while now, and we get mad. Our progressive friends get mad at us for this, but trust us.
Prove me wrong.
We've been on the other side of this. Exactly. Yes. And we know we're trying to help me help you. That's what we're trying to do.
Help you.
Oh, so, all right. Well, before we go, we have to show last week in the Republican Party.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because there's been a lot going on.
It's a good one.
Just because it was a 4th of July holiday week doesn't mean that there was any less crazy. So
that is correct.
Here we go.
There is a demonic portal, a satanic portal above the White House that appeared shortly after the election of Biden.
Next Congress we will be investigating the January 6th committee and bringing
Yeah!
I'll leave you with that.
Because you are a witch, you are a rebellious Jezebel with your little lazy spirit.
Women can't even get along with each other. They can't even figure out their friendships. They're not going to figure out the country.
If a woman isn't is strong, or if she's a bitch or whatever she's doing, it's because her husband isn't leading her properly.
I hear a lot of wah, 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 not a lot of churning butter.
And we are the Christian Taliban. And we will not stop until The Handmaid's Tale is a reality. And even worse than that.
That is precisely what we intend to do, is to impose Christian laws on everyone in the United States of America.
They'll make you a government dependent, and you'll vote for Democrats for the freebies for the rest of your lives.
The last word of the anthem, the last word, is brave. And that always struck me as a mistake.
Did he commit suicide? Was he suicided? We have no idea.
Brian, where's your Build Back Better, motherfucker? F*** out of here.
I declare this July 4th, 2022, to be a declaration of independence against the alien force on this planet today, waging war against humans and our biology and our very future, that is attempting to exterminate the majority of us and force the minority that's left to merge with AI computers and become cyborg slaves of Satan.
Some whack job can say this stuff and get away with it?
Goodness gracious.
Cyborg Slaves of Satan is ironically the name of my Pet Shop Boys cover band. But until Thursday.
Wow. That's I have no words for that other than if you don't think that those people are serious.
That's the Republican Party today.
That is the Republican Party today. And all you have to do is look to what Ron DeSantis' press secretary has said, what others have said about Hungary and how that's the blueprint, because that's what they're doing over in Hungary with trying to add in the the religious theocracy stuff, and then trying to make it look like it's kind of sort of democracy, but it's really not, because they're attacking institutions. It's crazy. They're telling us what they're going to do. But you know what, Rick? As we close the show today, and we will see everyone on Thursday, I want to show everyone the beautiful ad that Lincoln Project released yesterday in honor of 4th of July. I want to give a shout out to Lolo Pritchard, who was one of whose beautiful voice is what you'll hear on this. She was in the original cast of Spring Awakening. A friend of Michelle's got her to do it for us, which is amazing. So shout out to Michelle for getting that done for us. But this is why we fight for America. Today's show was a little heavy. There's a lot going on where we're kind of down in the dumps about it. But you know what? This is still the greatest country in the world for now. And it's still worth fighting for. And I hope that we get a little bit of a sense of that coming together and fighting for America and what we want, because we don't want those people. So as we leave you today, here is our ad, Our Country, and we'll see you guys Thursday.
My country